We'll get started. So hi everyone, welcome to the School of IT&S Undergraduate Course Advice session. So this session is being live streamed, so hence I've got the little camera and the microphone here. Apologies to people at home that I'm not looking directly at the camera all the time because there are people in the audience that I have to look at as well. So I'll do the roam thing and try to keep eye contact with all of you. But this session is being recorded as well. The microphone does pick up most things in the lecture theatre as well for everyone's awareness here. So my name is Luke Wingler. I'm an assistant professor here at the University of Canberra, and I'm the program director at the School of IT&S. I'm responsible for undergraduate courses. So I'd like to welcome you all to UC. Today we'll go through a bit of course advice, a bit of induction information, just some information that's handy to know as you start your journey here at UC. With me here today, I have Caitlin Williamson, who is our student engagement coordinator, and she'll be moderating the live streamed chat session as well and letting me know if there are any questions. So for those of you at home, if you've got any questions, please feel free to just pop them into the chat, and then I'll be pausing at moments to ask if anyone else has any questions, and Caitlin will let me know of any questions from those of you at home. And also here today, I have Kamudu, who is our head of school, and shortly I'll invite him to say a few words. But before we do that, I'd just like to make an acknowledgement to country. The University of Canberra acknowledges the Ngunnawal people, traditional custodians of the lands where Bruce campus is situated and where we meet today. We wish to acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of Canberra and the region, and we also acknowledge all other First Nations peoples on whose land we gather. So I'd just like to play a short welcome video from the Faculty of Science and Technology's Executive Dean. And ready.
I'm Professor Janine Deacon, the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology. I'd like to start by acknowledging the number of people as traditional custodians of the land on which the campus is situated. I acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to Canberra and the region. I'd like to acknowledge other First Nations representatives. I'd like to welcome all our new students to the faculty, and all of our continuing students, welcome you back to the campus. So we are a rather unique faculty in Australia because we've brought the schools of science and information technologies and systems together into a single faculty to work on solving real-world problems. We are committed to experimental learning to ensure job-ready, world-ready, and future-ready graduates. You may gain the skills to set you apart through a professional practice placement, a research project, or even workshopping with your peers to solve real-world problems. Our science graduates rank in the top 4 nationally for employment. Our computing and information systems graduates rank in the top 5 nationally for full-time employment. Our staff are committed to sharing their knowledge, experience, and professional connections. In some cases, our staff bring in those working in industry or government to give the real-world perspective to the material they teach. Now, while you're studying with us, we hope that you'll experience some of our world-class teaching and research laboratories as you gain hands-on experience. We're an inclusive faculty and we embrace diversity, and as such, we actually have a new UC Society for Women in STEM. So please make sure that you go along and make the most of that if you're Women in STEM. Finally, we have some faculty values, all 4 values that we expect our staff and students to adhere to. And they are our people, so whether you're a student or staff member, we really value your contribution to the faculty. We respect each other, we act in integrity, and we collaborate. So if you're doing a group project, make sure you're collaborating in a good way. So I'd just like to finally just welcome you to the faculty and hope that you have a great year. And remember that we are here to support you.
So before I get into all of the detail here today, I'd like to invite Associate Professor Kamudu, our head of school of the School of Information Technology and Systems, to say a few words.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Luke. Thank you for those who are connecting online, and a big hello to everyone in the room. Must be an exciting day for everyone, isn't it? So it's certainly an exciting, come on guys, have a seat. It certainly is an exciting day for all of us. You know, they say that the best minds in the room you find at the back seats. So I can certainly see all the best minds in this room. So, I am I'm the head of school, and I've been the head of school since late last year. And I'm really proud to be leading the School of IT and Science, IT and Systems. We have, just to give you a quick overview of the School of ITS, we have few disciplines. We have the engineering discipline, we have the computer science disciplines running, and we have the information systems discipline, to put everything into a nutshell. And then, of course, there are other sub-disciplines shooting out of it, like data science, cybersecurity, and things like that, which also relates to our big core business. And we are a very unique school. We do a lot of government-related internships, work placement trainings. Towards the end of the course, obviously you won't do them in the first year, but as you progress to your second and third year, there'll be a lot of work integrated learning happening. You will see a lot of projects that are happening that are linked to the government, defense, and other industry partners. Towards the end of the year, your degree, you will be doing a lot of good hands-on internships. They will all put you in that very good high level of employability stage. But today I don't want you to think about any of those things. Just think that you are here to have fun. Okay, because after these 3 years or 4 years, you won't be able to have that fun. So just focus on that. For now, just take it easy, enjoy, and welcome again. And back to Luke. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you, Kamudu.
See you later. See you guys.
So Kamudu will just duck off to the other information session for postgraduate students. So we'll be left with me. So just a reminder for those of you listening along at home, if you've got any questions at any point, please feel free to pop it in the chat. Moderator Caitlin is monitoring the chat, and she'll let me know of any questions that pop up. So those of you who are here, apologies to those at home who, if you raise your hand, I won't be able to see it, so this won't really work for you. These are the courses that are covered under the School of ITS Undergraduate. Bachelor of Business Informatics, Bachelor of Information Technology, Bachelor of Software Engineering, the double degrees that include those bachelor degrees. There's a Bachelor of Engineering in Network and Software Engineering. Because that's a mouthful, we usually just say BENZI, which is the acronym for it, and the Bachelor of Engineering. So quick show of hands. Is anyone here from the Bachelor of Business Informatics? Anything? Yep, a couple of people. Bachelor of IT. Quite a few more people. The Bachelor of IT is our most popular undergraduate degree, so that was expected. Bachelor of Software Engineering. Yep, quite a few. Any double degrees? And yes, if you already put up your hand for one of the previous ones and you're in a double degree as well. Yep. So a few double degree students. And BENZI, couple of, yep. A few hands, good to see. And Bachelor of Engineering. Yep, a few more hands. So we've got representatives from every single course here, which is really good to see. So welcome. You're all in the right place. Is there anyone who's commencing a course that I haven't listed? No? Okay, excellent. You're all in the right place then. So I'm going to run through quite a bit of information, but then I'd just like you to absorb it. And the idea, I tell this to my students as well, it's not so much you'll be able to remember exactly who everyone is on this slide, right? But that you just know that there are these roles and these names, and you can go, oh, if I need help, hang on, I should be talking to someone, I'll go and find out who that is, right? Go and talk to Caitlin and the other members of the education team, so on. We'll provide you those contacts, but it's just so you start to get a picture of who's who in the faculty, what support services there are at the university, who can help, because there's lots of services that are here to support you and your journey here at UC. So some contacts within the faculty. So we've seen the welcome video from the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, which is Professor Janine Deacon, and she's our big boss. Underneath the Executive Dean, there are two Associate Dean positions. There's an Associate Dean of Education, which in our faculty we have two Associate Deans of Education, Dr. Tamsin Kelly and Dr. Masood Mohammadian. And they handle matters relating to, as you might guess from the name, education. Right? There's an Associate Dean of Research and Innovation, Professor Diane Gleason, and that's for our higher degree by research students, PhD students, and other research matters. So for those of you here today, not so important right now, but that might become more interesting later on as you go on further through your degrees. You might be, for those of you in an honours degree, that will become relevant in your fourth and final year. And for those of you looking at honours or going on to maybe a Master's by Research, potentially a PhD, then that will become relevant there. We've met Professor Kamudu Munisinghe, the head of school of ITS as well. And then within the school, there's, excuse me, myself as the program director for undergraduate courses. That's why I'm here today. And then next door, there is the program director for postgraduate courses, which is Dr. Hamed Sarbaz Hosseini. That being said, you don't need to remember all of those names and all our contacts and all that. The one-stop shop for help within the university is Student Central, located in Building 1, which is out of this building and to the left. And that's the first stop for any administrative inquiries you have. They can provide you with assistance or refer you on to the faculty, staff, student welfare, inclusion engagement, or wherever you need to go. Right? So if in doubt, if you don't know who to ask about something, you can go to Student Centre and contact Student Centre. There is drop-in course advice at Student Centre. The times are linked there, and they're on the School of ITS Canvas site, which I'll show you in a moment. So if you need course advice, a study plan and so on, there are those drop-in times. So you can go to Student Centre and get that sorted out as well. I have a slide for this. Course advice. So this is for if you need a study plan, if you applications for credit, any variations to enrollment. If you don't know what to do, enroll in for next semester. If you've got any questions, concerns about your course progress, cross-institutional study, if you want to go study abroad, overseas, doing something, any of that, that's what course advice is there for. For the first 4 weeks of semester, the faculty runs expanded course advice hours, so Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings, and then an extra one on Friday of week 2 as well. Yep. And then from week 5 onwards, it's just Wednesday and Thursdays. And again, that's in building 1. With communications from the university, you all should have a student email address account now. You should all check this regularly. This is where all of the official comms from communications from the university comes from, announcements from Canvas, enrollment fees, everything goes to that account. You can set up your UC student email address to forward to whatever email address you want. But when you email back to us, you should email from your student ID, like your student email address, because that's how we know that it's actually you that's emailing us. So if you go, oh, you talk to your unit convener about your results, for example, right, we need to know that it's you when we talk to you about your results or any issues in your course or so on, okay? So about courses, hands up if you're full-time, planning to study full-time this coming semester. Yep, the majority of you. Part-time, yep, a few part-time students, excellent. So that's about representative. For each unit worth 3 credit points, we expect that the total workload is 150 hours spread across the semester over the teaching period. So if you're studying 4 units, that's 600 hours across the whole entire semester. If you're part-time, you're studying 1, 2, or 3 units, scale accordingly. For a typical ITS unit, we have 3, that should be 3 contact hours a week, I think, which includes some independent study, some lecture, and some tutorial or lab things. So you should be spending, I'll talk about full-time students, probably about 12 plus contact hours a week. All right, 12 contact hours a week for 4 units. And then you should be spending another 25 to 28-ish hours of your own study, and that includes time to do your assignments, prepare for your labs, all of that other stuff, okay? 150 hours a unit, 13-ish teaching weeks means 11, 12-ish hours a week per unit, okay? Just to put that in perspective, that is the expectation. But you're not alone. There are all these support services available at UC, and they're here to help you. One of them is Study Skills. They're all free, so please use them. They're there to help you. So they run face-to-face and now virtual programs as well, of all different kinds. Have a look at their website and you'll see what's available. So drop-in study help, there's maths and stats help, or what we call MASH. There's an Ask Advisor service in the library, peer-assisted learning sessions, which are run by students in later year of their study. So they've gone through what, they've done what you're just about to start doing, and they'll be able to bring their experience to that. The Study Help site has lots of other resources that are useful, Study Skills for Success, and so on. I will draw your attention to the Academic Integrity module. That is a required part of your study. It's a short online module about, how to reference properly, how to quote properly, those sorts of things. That is actually required as part of your study at UC, and that will be, you'll have to do it as part of at least one of your units within the first year. All right. Any questions at this point regarding things? Caitlin?
All right, so I have some questions online. Do we have on-campus classes this semester for students in Canberra?
Yes. So for classes this semester, there are on-campus options available. Most units will offer at least one on-campus activity option for activities and one virtual activity. It depends on the specific unit. So when you go look at your timetable, it will say whether it's in a room or whether it's a virtual activity, for example. But yes, there are on-campus activities for you, like now.
And just double checking that will work for OT students who are commencing study online?
Yeah, so if you're following, for those of you at home studying online remotely, if you're following the approved study plan and have picked the appropriate units, there are online like virtual tutorials and so on for you. Yeah.
And another question, so what about Indian students who are doing online classes? It would be the same.
Yeah, that would be the same. So there are online options available for students who are still overseas. Yes?
As for the orientation information, will there be a chance to review this in our own time as well?
Yes. So I'll get to that in a moment on the School of ITS Canvas page on here, which I'll show you in a moment, has all of this, yeah. Or at least links to where it is, yes. Okay, so apart from the study help, there's a variety of specialised services available here at UC. Careers UC for placements, internships and so on. As Kamudu mentioned earlier, you won't have to worry about those right now in your first year, but that's something to look forward to in your second and third year and fourth year of study. Inclusion and engagement for those of you with a disability or ongoing health conditions, including mental health conditions, they're able to support you develop a reasonable adjustment plan for you, so please talk to them if appropriate. For those of you who are international students, there's the International Student Support Service located in Student Central, which is a dedicated service to support you about matters about visa, enrollment variations and so on. Similarly, the Ngunnawal Centre for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students. Medical and counselling, and this is a doctor's service, has a GP, nursing and counselling services. This is free for UC students. The medical and counselling service is free for UC students. You need if you're unwell, if you want a doctor's certificate for an assignment extension and so on, you can go see medical and counselling. Again, I will reiterate, it's free for you as students. Okay. And then finally, there's student welfare, which can help you basically with anything else that hasn't already been covered. And again, just like Student Centre, if in doubt, you can go to student welfare. They'll keep your request or what you discussed with them confidential, and they'll be able to direct you on to the appropriate support services if they can't help you themselves. And I will point out for student welfare, that includes, like, if you're just, you're having financial issues, if you're having trouble at home, anything like that, they are there to talk, like, available for you to talk to them. Okay? It's not just about specifically problems at uni, but it can be other things that are impacting on your life generally. There is the UC student mentor program. So you can sign up for this if you wish to have to request a UC student mentor. So this would be a later year student to mentor you, to be a sounding board, to be someone to ask about how things work at the university and so on. Okay. There are some student societies which you might consider joining if you haven't already. There's the UC Information Technology Students Association, the University of Canberra Student Developer Organisation. For those of you who are interested in joining a group of your peers. Also the Engineering Society and the UC Supporting Women in STEM Society. Okay, so now that's a whole bunch of information. What I'm going to point you to now is the School of ITS Canvas page, which if you pick up one of the flyers, this QR code goes to that. So you all should have access to that. Where is it? Which looks like this. Hang on. On your dashboard. So this is Canvas. This is the learning management system that we use at UC, and this is where you'll find your course sites and all that. But there's one site that you all will be registered in, which is the School of Information Technology and Systems site. So this is the School of ITS Canvas page. So if we open that up, and I'll just very quickly set it to student view so it matches what you guys could see. So this is what it will look like for you. There's some announcements here. We often post announcements about job opportunities, internship opportunities, and so on. Again, this is something for you to keep an eye on and start thinking about now, but look forward to in your second and third years and fourth years. As you can see, links to various support services and so on. Study plans. All of the most up-to-date study plans. So this is where you can get a study plan that's specific for your course, for your chosen major, specialization major as well. And then, yeah, links to study skills, any updates, the student societies, and so on. Okay, so this is where you can go. Look at that. This when and how to get advice. I think I'll point to this. As well as Student Centre, you can email Caitlin and the education team via scitech-student inquiries at canberra.edu.au. And they'll be able to answer your query or, again, direct you on to whoever can best assist as well. Okay? All right. And yes, we have a Facebook and a Twitter page as well. I'm actually not sure what's on them because I don't look at them. So, Caleb.
Please like us on Facebook. So we put lots of stories up there about what we're doing, update you with any events that we're having. So yeah, it's just a good way to stay in touch with the faculty and see what we're doing overall between science and technology. And Twitter, I'm not super familiar with Twitter, but if you're into Twitter, we also regularly use Twitter as well.
Thank you, Caleb. Okay. Any questions now? Because this is my last slide. I'm just about to dump you onto the university's website to talk about where to find more information about course, like your particular courses and all that, more specifically. Yes?
So, when we do get into our classes, how do we see like the streams?
How do you see the streams? Did you?
Like how are the students get to that stream?
The online stream. So there's information on the study skills side about that, but it's it's under the virtual room option. I can't show you right now because I'm in the stream already. So if I click on it, it will just go, oh, you're already logged in. But if you click on virtual room for a particular course, it will show you, not on this one, because I'm on a different site. Here, a list of all of the online classes and when they're scheduled and so on. Okay, does that answer your question? Yeah. Any other questions?
Is it mandatory to follow the study plan provided by the uni?
Oh, is it mandatory to follow the study plan provided by the uni? Okay, technically no. That's the technical answer of no, you do not have to follow it. However, if you do not follow it, that may adversely affect your progression and your ability to complete your degree within the standard time frame. Because we build the study patterns so that you can complete all the first year units that are prerequisites for your second year units that are prerequisites for your third year units, so you can actually do everything in 3 years. If you don't do some things in first year, for example, that means you might not be able to do some things in your second year, so you have to wait another year, etc. So the technical answer is no, it's not mandatory to follow the study pattern. However, it is highly recommended that you do so that you can complete your degree within the standard time frame. So 3 years for the bachelor's degrees and 4 years for the engineering with integrated honours degrees. Yeah. I'll just go to someone else and I'll come back to you. Yep.
So, two questions. One is regarding where can we find more information in regards to our internships and maybe their companies associated with them?
Yep.
And two, do we have a chance to do any within our first year?
So do you have a chance to do any internships in your first year? Okay. So the first one regarding internships and more information about them. So Careers UC is our internships coordinator. That's for the whole university, and they have a listing of both job opportunities for graduates and all that, as well as internships, cadetships, and so on. So if you're interested in looking at internships, and if you are, I highly recommend you start looking at them soon, like start thinking about them now, so you can start working out where they might fit into your study plan and so on in later years. But Careers UC has the information, as well as the announcements on the School of ITS site. We'll post more like ITS specific ones there as well. In regard to your second question about whether there's an opportunity for internships in your first year, so generally no. So for most of the companies we work with and have internship arrangements with, they expect sort of second half of second year towards third year to have a bit of basis. So you've got those foundations underneath you, and then you can go into those companies and do something really meaningful. Because one of the things about internships is it's not the internship of getting coffee and printing and photocopying and that sort of thing. That's not a meaningful internship that really helps you develop your skills and also might lead into a career. So when we have internships at UC, we do our very utmost to make sure they're all meaningful and develop you in some way. So, yeah, so generally second year. But that being said, it's good that you're thinking about them now. I highly recommend everyone else thinks about them now, because if you think about them now, you can go talk to the education team and so on to go, okay, I'm thinking about an internship in the second half of my second year. How do I fit that in? Rather than getting to the second half of your second year going, I've got an internship, and they're like, oh, you should have come to us sooner, because now we're going to have to juggle a whole bunch of things to try to make sure it still works and you can still finish in 3 years and meet the degree requirements. Okay, so that's why I say start thinking about it now, and then work towards that. You're welcome.
Okay, I have 2 questions. How many credit points are required for overseas students studying online?
Just to clarify that, how many credit points are required for students studying overseas students studying online? Is that during a semester, or is that because everyone has to do the standard 72 for a 3-year and 96 for a 4-year credit point per semester? I actually don't know that one off the top of my head. So I'll get Caitlin to note down who asked that question, and she and the education team will get back to them about that one.
Second question, is it mandatory to attend the lectures and tutorials for online students? Will watching the recordings be sufficient?
Okay, this is again similar to the should you follow the study plan. Okay, tutorial and lab attendance is expected. And often there's assessment linked to tutorials and labs, so lab exercises, tutorial submissions, etc. Or you'll have to do presentations in them and so on. So tutorial and lab attendance is basically expected, if not required, for certain units depending on the exact assessment requirements. Lectures, on the other hand, it's highly recommended you attend. I believe all lectures are recorded as well. So for those of you who unfortunately can't make it, there are the recordings. You can catch up later. But okay, I'm biased because I'm a lecturer, but I believe that to get the most out of it, attending live, whether live streams or in person, is the way you get the most out of it, because you can ask questions. If you're uncertain about something, you can just raise your hand right then and there and get clarification about it. Those sorts of things. So it's highly recommended you attend lectures. However, they are recorded, so you can catch up afterwards. Depending on the unit, it's basically either super highly recommended or required to attend the tutorial or labs, depending on the assessment and so on. Yep, that's it for now. Okay. Yes? Can you change your timetable after the semester starts? You referring to tutorials and labs? So yes, up until the end of week 1. So self-enrollments for tutorials and labs and all that stays open until the end of week 1. Most units start their tutorials and labs in week 2. There are some exceptions to that start in week 1, but they tend to be later year units. So as first years, you shouldn't have to worry about that. Self-enrollment for tutorial labs closes at the end of week 1. Up until then, you can change your timetable, bearing in mind that that's subject to availability, of course. So if the tutorial you want to move to is already full, then there's not much we can do about it, unfortunately. Okay, does that answer your question? Any other questions? Yeah.
Lecture recordings available for face-to-face students or just the online students?
They're available for face-to-face students. So lecture recordings are available for all students. So if you've attended, the lecturer said something really fast, or you just want to review something, you can, the recordings are available for everyone. Okay. All right. How are we going for time? Pretty good. Okay. So that's the overview. Enough about university, where to get help. If in doubt, contact Student Central or SciTech-Student Inquiries, or drop into 3D2, where the education team is. They'll be able to help or direct you to where to go. But what I'm going to show you now is the course structures and talk a little bit about how overall the degrees at UC are arranged, so that you kind of have a picture about where you're going. Because yes, we have the default study patterns, study plans that say do these units in each semester and all that, but how does that hang together? So there is a course search on the UC homepage. Oh look, here's one I prepared earlier, but from the homepage, if you're on the University of Canberra homepage, if you scroll down, there is this course search. You can just put in the title of your course, or if you know the code, you can put in the code as well, but I'll just put in the title. And I'm using Bachelor of Information Technology because that is the most popular undergraduate course, but the same applies for all the other ones. If you click on, sorry, it comes up with a list of search results. If you click on Bachelor of Information Technology, it'll take you to what we call the course information page. And okay, some of this is really dry and, technical, course versions, etc. But the one that I want to draw your attention to is the requirements and awards tab, because this shows you what you need to do to finish your course. All right. So under the Bachelor of Information Technology, you must pass 48 credit points. Remembering most units, a standard unit at UC is 3 credit points, consisting of these 2 majors, a core major in Information Technology and Systems and a specialist major in Information Technology. This same structure applies to the Bachelor of Business Informatics and the Bachelor of Software Engineering as well. Slightly different for engineering students, I'll get to that in a moment. So I'll just, in addition to that 48 credit points, you have the option of either a specialist major or you can do 24 credit points from wherever else in the university. That's useful if you want to do 8 units of science or commerce or art or whatever you want, okay? So if I just expand everything, this shows you a list of all of the units that you need to do in your degree. And okay, the study plan will arrange those nicely into which semesters and all that, but if in doubt, you can go back to this page, have a look at it and go, what do I actually need to do? Okay. The only other thing I'd mention is that if you're looking at this page, make sure you're looking at the correct version of the degree. This is why I recommend going through the courses and course search on the UC page rather than say Google, because if you just type in Bachelor of Information Technology UC and go to Google, you might not get the right version of the degree. So for those of you commencing right now, you're in version 8, okay, for example. Any questions about getting to this, what's listed on here? Yes?
Great, I guess. So I understand that inside a lot of this is self-reliant. So if we were to happen to make any mistakes in our timetable, say straight away with the study guide, then we would go in and we would say either too much of a plan of courses or an underwhelming plan or any other sort of mistake would be taken to our attention. For example, or is it, do we have to like go and assume, okay, maybe I've done something wrong, I should talk to them?
It's up to you to manage. So one of the things is that you're all adults now, and you have to manage your own study. So we give you a study, the study plan, standard study plan. We give you these resources for you to have a look at. But if in doubt, that's why Caitlin and the education team, Student Central and there are here to help. But at the end of the day, it's up to you as a student to manage your own study and ask for help when you need it. We're here to help, we're happy to help. It's just, we won't be deliberately poking every single student to go, are you doing the right things or not? Because everyone's circumstance is different as well. And some of you are part-time, that'll change because the standard study patterns are written for full-time students. Right? You might have a semester where you say, I can't do 4 subjects, I only want to do 3. Right? That's fine as well, but just come in, talk to us, let us know what your plan is, and we can work something out. It is up to you as students to be proactive. Where am I at? What am I needing help with? Yes, Caitlin?
What is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous online lectures?
Difference between synchronous and asynchronous online lectures. If you're doing Bachelor of IT, Bachelor of Software Engineering, or engineering courses, you'll learn about this in Intro to Network Engineering. Synchronous means it's at the same time. Like it's like phone call, so that's the live stream, real time. All right? So that's what we've got now. Asynchronous is not real time, which is basically the lecture recording in most cases. Okay. Yep. So that's the structure for. Oh, yep.
So with the
Sorry.
synchronous lectures, do you have to attend those online, or can you also just go to the recording?
So they should also be recorded as well. Okay. But you have an option for, if you can't come to campus or whatever, to just dial in remotely. Like some people are right now. Is that a question up the back, or is it just a thinking? No? Okay. So that's for the 3-year degrees. Core major, restricted major. So the core major is actually the same, very nearly the same for Bachelor of Business Informatics, Bachelor of Information Technology, and Bachelor of Software Engineering. Gives you that basis in IT and systems, and then you build on that with a specialist major in Business Informatics, Information Technology, or Software Engineering. That's that second part. And then you have a choice of the third part to do a specialist major in cloud computing, data science, etc., or to do some open electives from elsewhere in the university. For engineering students, for those of you in Benzie, Bachelor of Engineering in Network and Software Engineering, your degree is highly prescriptive. It's in engineering and network and software engineering. So you basically have about 4 choices to make across your whole entire degree. If you've looked at your study plan, you will have already seen that because you've chosen to do a Bachelor of Engineering in Network and Software Engineering. For those of you in the Bachelor of Engineering, there is one key choice you have to make reasonably early on, which is whether you want to do, well, you have to do the core major in engineering, but then you have to choose whether you're doing a specialist major in network and software engineering, which is very similar to the Benzie degree, or a specialist major in robotics and AI. Okay? You don't have to make that call right now, but you do have to make that call very soon, like as in ideally before next semester, because the units required for the specialist major in network and software engineering are slightly different from the robotics and AI, so you have to make that call early on. Does that make sense to those? I see some nods. Anyone have any questions about that from the engineering cohort? No? Okay. Yes, Karen. Yep, that's okay. Yep.
Are summer/winter semesters available for business informatics students or for any IT students?
Okay, so this good question. Summer and winter terms, we call them, rather than semesters. Summer and winter term. The School of IT&S generally does not run courses in summer term, number one, and runs a very limited selection of units in winter term. And generally those are more open elective style things for students in other disciplines to take and so on and so forth. So essentially the answer is, in terms of your required units within the degrees, we do not offer them in winter term or summer term at the moment. That being said, for example, in the 3-year degrees, if you want to do something over summer or winter from another faculty as part of your open electives, you can do that. Again, talk to the education team about your plans and see how that might fit in. Okay? But very good question. Okay. Are there any other final questions? I know I've just dumped a whole bunch of information on you. But are there any other questions at this point? Yes? Sorry? Is it all paid parking around? Yes. So it's free for like this week for some of the car parks because of O week. But then after this week, yes, you will have to pay for parking. The daily rate is really expensive. I'll put it that way. But you can get a book of 10 tickets for like $60. So that's $6 a day if you're just coming in a few days a week, or you can buy a pass that will let you swipe your student card. If you buy a pass that's linked to your student ID, that will get you access to the permanent parking only car parks as well. So that'll give you more options. Yeah. Yep. Sorry? Is there any free parking around this area? No. Sorry. Yeah. Hmm? No, we have to pay as well. Okay. Yes?
For those who are studying online, how will we be able to join virtual rooms for each unit?
So I briefly showed you this before, but joining virtual rooms for each unit. So each unit will have a Canvas site. For example, no, I'm in student view, never mind. But each unit will have a Canvas site similar to the School of Information Technology and Systems Canvas site. And then on each Canvas site, you can go to virtual room, again, because I'm logged in as the student on this one, but virtual room, and then you can see the different sessions here, and that's how you would join a virtual tutorial or a synchronous virtual lecture as well. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just very briefly show you my own Canvas site for the unit I teach, which is Systems Analysis and Modeling. And I'll just switch it to student view. So this would match what, so this is a, once it loads, this is a unit Canvas site. This is the unit I'm teaching this semester. Announcements and so on. Every unit Canvas site will be slightly different depending on what the unit convener does. But on the left, there'll be virtual room. If you click on virtual room, then it will come up with a list of all of the sessions that are set up for that unit. And so, as you can see, I have my lecture session set up, virtual drop-in, and the virtual tutorials set up to go for next week and the week after. Okay, that's it. All right, how are we going for time? I think that's about it. Any last questions? Or are we all hungry and want to go? Yes? Yep. Sorry, I missed the second half of that. Someone used to tell me. Yeah, so it's not expected that the standard study patterns for studying at the School of ITS are assuming you're studying in semester 1 and semester 2 only, and you're not studying in summer and winter term. Okay? So I hope that answers the thing. Yep. Was there another? Yes?
Is there a time of when we have to enroll in our majors, or can we do it whenever?
Which degree are you? Information technology. Okay, so you can elect your majors at any time. This includes like right before you graduate, but obviously if you don't meet the requirements of that major, you're not going to get it. You're not going to be awarded that major. So there's no time limit per se in a technical sense of I want to do the specialist major in cloud computing, but then in terms of picking your units to achieve the specialist major in cloud computing, that's usually by the end of first year. You should have an idea of which major you're doing, because those units will generally start, depending on the major, either in the second half of your first year or in the second year. So have a look at the majors, use this semester to get a feel for everything, and then start deciding what you want to do. Yes?
So do we need to buy all the textbooks, or are they all available?
It depends. Okay, so do you need to buy all the textbooks, or are they available online? So firstly, all textbooks for all units at UC should be available in the library for short-term loan or longer-term loan, depending on exactly whether they're required or recommended. Some units have required textbooks, in which case it is expected that you have regular access to one. Whether you buy it online, like a e-book or a physical book, doesn't matter, right? Again, depending on the textbook, some will be available as e-books, some won't. So I can't give you a definitive answer either way. But if it's a required textbook, you are expected to have access to that textbook on a regular basis. For example, for tutorials, for labs, and so on. If it's a recommended textbook, right, then you might not need it every week, but you might need it occasionally during the semester or as a reference book or so on. So required, you should have, it is expected that you have one or you have regular access to one. That can be by going to the library on a regular basis. If it's recommended, you don't need to buy one. It's up to you whether you buy one or not. Maybe see how you're going in the unit, have a look at it in the library, decide whether it's worth that investment for you. Okay, does that answer? Yep. Yes? How long can you borrow a book from the library for? It depends on the book. So for example, required textbooks, because they're required for everyone, are generally on short-term loans, which I think it's like an hour or something like that for short-term loan, because they don't want you taking a book for days when someone else might need it at some point. Recommended textbooks are generally available for short-term loan of 3 days or so. And it depends on the book.
If there are slides used in a certain lecture, will we have access to those slides for future reference?
So slides for lectures are, I can't guarantee it, but mostly yes. Most unit conveners will publish their, I mean I do, most unit conveners will publish their slides and other teaching materials on their site. So you can download the slides.
I've got a couple more questions. Is
Okay.
there a list is there a list of required books to buy on campus?
Is there a list of required books? No, you'll have to look at each individual unit as to what the textbooks are and whether they're required or recommended.
Yep. So check your unit outline.
Yeah, check your unit outline. All right.
How can students studying online issue ebooks?
How can students studying online issue ebooks?
Be going through the library.
I know the library has a ebook loan service now. Again, depending on availability of ebooks and all that. Otherwise, the information about where you can get a textbook from, check the unit outline and contact your individual unit conveners for those.
Last one.
Yeah.
Should we have our textbooks by our first classes next week?
Should you have your class? You're probably okay for week 1 because most units don't have tutorials or labs in week 1. So if you don't have your textbooks by next week, that's probably okay. But for required textbooks, you may be using them in the first tutorial or lab in week 2. So you might need them by then. All right.
Eliminated one of these questions. The last one is, if you would have say I worked for like 3 days, could you roll over that?
No. So the question of if you borrow a 3-day loan textbook from the library and you want it for more than 3 days, can you roll that over? No, you can't. It's specifically there so that no one student monopolizes that resource because there's only a finite number of textbooks in the library. So they don't want one person to have one of them for an extended period of time. Yeah. Yep.
How do we go about buying the textbooks then? Is it through the library or is it through somewhere else?
So on campus there is, I've forgotten what it's called now. I'm sorry? It's not a co-op bookshop anymore. There's the UC shop, which is just out the door to the left, and you can order textbooks from there. Otherwise, ebooks are available online and so on. Yeah, UC shop. Is it? I've forgotten what it's called now because.
I think it's still
Yeah. So the UC shop, which is again in building 1, but just out of here, turn left, right before the refectory. Yeah, where the post office is. Yeah. Okay. I think we're going to call it there because we've got 2 minutes until 12 and lunch is waiting for us. So for those of you who have registered for the lunch, you have to have registered for the lunch to attend. And sorry for those of you at home, we can't bring lunch to you. So you've missed out, sorry. For those of you here, lunch is in the concourse. If you've registered, lunch is in the concourse outside. The entrance, I believe, is actually all the way around the other side of the fenced area though. You have to have registered to attend the lunch due to COVID restrictions. If you haven't registered to attend the lunch, I don't know if there are still spots available, but you can check your email. Caitlin can help you out. I'm not sure what the numbers are like at the moment. Okay, I'll be at the lunch as well, so if you want to chat further, I'm happy to do so. But I'm hungry, and I'm sure you all are as well. So just across the concourse, head to lunch. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you very much, everyone at home as well.